I have the car running today because it's a frightfully cold day here on the East Coast. Oof, coldest day of the year. So I haven't done a car video in a little while. I put a lot of those group coaching session excerpts up on YouTube. And I hope that you found some of them helpful. And before we get into what I want to talk about briefly today, I just want to remind people who are new to this channel, I basically use YouTube as a platform to post videos. I do not respond to questions or comments on there. And honestly, recently I haven't even been looking at any comments. So if you want to contact me, particularly if you're interested in getting help with this stuff, if you need coaching, or if you have a genuine question that you think I can help you with, email me, info@radicalcounselor.com, info@radicalcounselor.com, or you can contact me via my website, radicalcounselor.com. I just wanted to remind people of that. And, one other thing is that a lot of these ideas, the vast majority of these ideas I've written about and done podcast episodes about, but specifically I've written about them. So if you want them in more refined form, I suggest looking at some of my guides and books, because these videos are intentionally, because they're very spontaneous, more scattered. All right. And a lot of people like the scattered element, but I've written about most of this stuff. But yeah, don't leave me comments if you expect me to actually see them. That's what it comes down to. Let's move on to the meat of today's story. I mentioned it in that I put an excerpt of me talking about it from the group session a few weeks ago, but I want to spend today and probably a few videos just talking about the importance of embracing difficult emotions. Because, I talk about this often, but it's so rarely discussed in, any type of detail in law of attraction, law of assumption, manifesting circles, that I think it's worthwhile to really consider and practice, looking at our feelings and feeling into our difficult feelings and not running away from them. And this is something we can do and we choose not to do. An easy way to feel better is to go at directly the feelings that are bothering you. And by go at them, I mean allow them to be there and look at them, feel them. That's like such a good practice. And it's one of these things that just, if you do it, you will see the benefits from doing it. So for instance, like you can put your hand over your heart or your hand over a part of your body that is feeling stress or discomfort. And, there's probably going to be a lot of associated thoughts with that, tough feeling in the body. Those thoughts, you want to just let them be there for the time being when you do an exercise like this usually, okay? You want to feel the discomfort instead. Instead of the thoughts that are associated with the discomfort, you want to just go directly to the discomfort. Because David Hawkins says it well in Letting Go. He says, oftentimes an uncomfortable feeling can produce a million associated negative thoughts. So instead of trying to deal with these negative thoughts that can run rampant, and if it's not one thing that's negative, it's another thing that's negative, go to the source, which is usually more like the feeling, like the tightness in the chest, or the queasiness in the belly, or, not like your throat being not feeling right, or your head racing. You put your hand over your head, for instance. Hand gently on the throat or around the throat. On the chest area, heart, belly, wherever that stress comes up, just allow it to be there and feel into it. And again, we've talked about this before, but what we want to do is just allow for the feeling to be there, not to pay much attention or any attention to the thoughts associated with it. Allow the feeling to be there. We can, again, put our hand where the feeling is in the body, and then just be there with it. Breathe in and out. You can close your eyes. You can leave them open. And then you can get to know this feeling better. And if that sounds confusing, it's not. It's actually quite intuitive, especially if we've done these imaginary type exercises that, people like Neville, Joseph Murphy, Maxwell Maltz, etc. always talk about. So you feel into the feeling. Let's say the feeling's in the chest. For instance, when I feel discomfort, a lot of times it seems like emotional discomfort manifests itself most in my chest area. So I can feel into that. And then to get to know this feeling better, I can simply ask questions that are relevant. Like, what do you want from me? Feeling in my chest right now, discomfort in my chest, what do you want from me? And you just breathe and you see if something comes up. And maybe nothing comes up. Maybe nothing at all comes up. But then you just keep on feeling that feeling. And you can ask it another question. You can ask it again, what do you want from me? Or you can ask, why are you here? Discomfort in my chest, this feeling right here. Why are you here? Why are you here? And you just feel it. And just ask why. You say something like, what am I supposed to do about you? With this feeling, what do you want me to do about you? What is this? What are you trying to tell me right now? What do you want me to do? Tell me. And when you have these conversations, you are very open with your feeling. You get to know your feeling. You're conversing with the discomfort, the source of those stressful thoughts, the actual physical discomfort. You're intimately asking it questions and getting to know it. And this is a safe, non-judgmental space for you to do that. No one else is watching you do this. This is just you doing work on yourself. And see what the feeling says. If you ask questions like those I just mentioned, why are you here? What do you want me to do? What are you trying to tell me? Questions like that. And these are open-ended questions. You can ask similar questions, anything that resonates with you. Ask these questions, feel that feeling. I would be surprised if you don't start getting answers. These uncomfortable feelings are there for a reason. They're not just randomly there. A lot of the time, it's from childhood, whether that's in forms of, in the form of like childhood trauma, or it could just be subtle trauma, subtle anxiety or frightful experiences that shaped us. You might be feeling into your chest and you say, why are you feeling this way? And it might be, because I'm afraid of being abandoned. Because when you were 7 years old, your parents were 3 hours late coming to get you from school, and you feared you were abandoned, and you've had that fear of abandonment ever since that happened. And that might be why the tightness in the chest is there, for instance. But you can start talking to your uncomfortable feelings by doing something like this. And there's plenty of variations of this. I mentioned that book, Emotional Intimacy, by Robert Augustus Masters. He talks a lot about this. Internal family systems, the Richard Schwartz therapeutic modality, all talking about this kind of stuff. There's a lot of different ways of doing this, but the key, in my opinion, is simply facing the feeling, often facing the fear. And usually the way to eliminate fear, so much fear from your life, or a fear from your life, is to meet it. We have to work through it, or here we're doing something, in my opinion, that's usually even better. We're not just working through it, we're working with it. So our foe, this uncomfortable feeling that makes us feel awful and stresses us out and makes us anxious all the time for seemingly no quote-unquote good reason, even though there is a reason, this foe, this thing that we think is ruining our lives, this foe is actually trying to tell you something. And it is actually, if we do this kind of work, as wild as it might sound, it is actually an ally, at least most of the time. It's there for a reason. This is doing, this is doing the inner work. If you already get coaching with me or with somebody who does, like emotional, energetic counseling or therapy or whatever, this is probably going to be a lot of it. And when we get to know these uncomfortable feelings better and move through them and start to use them as allies, as W. Clement Stone always said, we turn a disadvantage into an advantage. When we start doing that with our uncomfortable feelings, other things shift. Internally we feel better, and externally things in our life start to shift as well. Hugely important. All right, so I hope that was helpful. Any questions, let me know. Until next time, stay warm.